Artificial intelligence. You might have heard that term, not certain what it means. Stay tuned. Jesse is here to talk with us about artificial intelligence and how it can help improve your life. Artificial intelligence. I know people who have artificial intelligence, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we have Jesse Flores with us to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, it's an absolute delight.
You know, the name itself just kind of makes you pause, artificial intelligence. People are talking about it all over the country, but it's been around for a long time. But explain to us what it is and why we should be concerned.
Yeah, so I think you're right. It has been around for quite a while. Really, we're talking about our algorithms that are really good at learning patterns, making decisions, and coming up with or performing tasks and coming up with nuanced information or responses in kind of a conversational way that feels natural to people like you and me. What's really changed over the last couple of years hasn't been necessarily the emergence of new algorithms that make this possible. It's been the fact that costs to produce these have come way, way, way down. And as a result, accessibility has really skyrocketed. And so now, folks like me that have spent a lot of time in this industry have been aware of some of these things for a long time, but now it's able to go mainstream because the cost structure makes it so much more easy to adapt.
So I want to unpack that a little bit. But first, tell us, you say you've been doing this for a very, very long time, and I know you've mentioned well over a decade, right?
I've been thinking about these things for over a decade, for sure. I think I built my own first algorithm maybe 10 years ago. It was a very early attempt at building a way to get around applicant tracking systems. When I was looking for a job, I was not particularly keen on rewriting my resume a million times, so I tried to build a very, very, very simple set of tools to take a resume as an input and rewrite it to get past an applicant tracking system many, many years ago.
And since that time, some of the people that you worked for since that initial application have been quite impressive. You've got quite the resume, so you know what you're talking about when we talk about artificial intelligence. But why should we be concerned about it today? People, you say it's more accessible.
Yes.
How was it used before, and how is it being used today?
Yeah, so I think where it really got a lot of its legs before the cost structure started to change was really actually in science and in computer science. So a lot of machine learning. In fact, I started learning about machine learning through courses I took online from the University of Washington related to bioinformatics, which is a really nerdy thing to say.
Bioinformatics.
Okay. That was how my introduction to it. Now, since then, the way that it's used today in a generative capacity has really expanded well beyond just the sciences to encompass everything from marketing copy to process automation inside of an organization. But one of the key insights or one of the key transformations that's happened is as this technology has grown, almost any and all types of data can be reflected in what is technically called a vector. And what that means is that any kind of technology, whether you're talking about image, voice, audio, video, text, all has kind of a common factor that allows for AI and LLMs to use this data for anything.
Wow.
Very, very powerful,
wow.
But also can be very, very concerning.
Absolutely. And I think that's some of the concern, particularly as older adults. AARP does a lot, and you've done some work with us as well, with our team, on talking about fraud. I know you're going to be doing some more of that work. But what should we be looking out for? Particularly older adults, we want to keep them current with the technology, but at the same time, protect what they have, and avoid themselves from becoming victims of fraud.
Yeah, that's actually a really huge concern. And it's one that I think there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot of work being done in this space. So because there is now this common factor for technology and for phishing, for spoofing, it used to be we would make the joke about the Nigerian prince emailing you asking for money, right? But now those emails are going to be coming from people and email addresses that look like people referencing people that might be on your network. In fact, I'm on a local board here, and I got an email from someone ostensibly posing as the president of that board and referencing some elements about that board in this email. And they weren't asking for a lot of money. It wasn't, I need $20,000 to get my princely thing. It was, $300 for petty cash. And if you're running through things very quickly and you're not paying attention, I almost was like, click it and send it, whatever. Like it would have been faster for me at that level to just wire or Venmo the money. But something in me was like, wait a minute, this sounds a little bit odd. That spoofing has gotten a lot more sophisticated. On top of that, the spoofing comes not only through text emails, but there are ways to voice clone. And so it is not uncommon now to get phone calls from hackers, spammers, spoofers, phishers who might be cloning the voice of, say, a loved one or a family member and coming up with kind of a hair-raising scheme that's like, hey, I was just in this accident. I'm at the police station. I need help with this, this, and this. And of course, you get on high alert and you don't double check or fact check that this is in fact that loved one.
That's crazy. I mean, to think that you pick the phone up and it sounds like your daughter, your granddaughter, your aunt, your uncle, and you made an excellent point, Jesse, that it's not always asking for the $20,000, which would raise eyebrows for anyone, but now they're asking for smaller amounts for more people.
Yes.
And it's easier just to say, well, sure, honey, I'll send you. You're in college or whatever, I'll send you. And it's not that. What should they do? What should people do? If it sounds like your child or someone you know.
Yeah. So there are a couple of things that I think are best practices. So number one, and this is something we've incorporated in our family, and I think everyone should incorporate in their family, is there should be a code word. So if somebody calls asking for something or in an emotionally charged state and they're trying to get you to do something, asking for that authentication, okay, what's our code word? That alone can help a lot. Another thing that is, I think, a really good practice, can feel a little bit rude, is like, okay, let me hang up and call right back. Right? So just doing that alone. Like, these are very small, simple things that can protect you, particularly when it comes to voice spoofing. When it comes to things like email and text, there are a lot of best practices already documented around that. But some simple ones, like verifying not the name of the person sending, but the email address that person is sending from, is a small thing, but we don't pay a lot of attention to those kinds of things. And you should be particularly on guard about these things if you have a son or daughter or grandson or granddaughter who is constantly posting on social media, or who is an influencer or a content creator, because anything that gets published or publicized online can be used for training or spoofing that data. And so another thing, I personally am not super active online any more than I have to be. But it is one of those things, if you or somebody in your family member is very active online or on media that could be online, making sure you've got that extra guardrail is really important.
That's excellent advice. One of the things that we always say too is that if there's a sense of urgency, you need to pause, right? Because usually they're trying to get you to act immediately. And so if they want you to act immediately and not tomorrow or later or an hour from now, then that should raise your concern a bit.
The challenge is that a lot of times as they get more sophisticated, they're using more emotionally charged hooks. And these are things that sort of naturally put you on edge. So I can recall an instance I heard of where somebody called, and this was a neighbor of one of my parents. They called spoofing the daughter of the neighbor. And there had been in a car accident. They were at the police station. They were, they needed some bail money. They had a whole thing. But if you are the mom receiving that call, daughter, car accident, pregnant lady, bail money, like there's so many things in that as a parent, you just viscerally feel like you need to respond to. Taking that second can feel, it can feel irresponsible. It can feel like it takes a lot more discipline than maybe you have, but that is such an important point. These people, these bad actors, prey on that emotional hack.
I love what you said about the code word. I think we don't have a code word for that. When the kids were little, we had a code word. If someone wants to give you a ride or whatever, or mom or dad gets. But the code word will help to eliminate a lot of that.
It does help a lot.
And you also mentioned social media, which I know I've heard you chat about that before. People always think that they're going to get spoofed in terms of their bank account or something in an email, but they're putting material out there that makes them more susceptible
Yes.
to being spoofed or being scammed.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, we as humans are naturally inclined to want to share and connect, and these tools.
Not me, but anyway. Yeah.
nor I, but I'm told
Yeah, right.
that this is the case, and so naturally we want to be able to take advantage of the benefits that these networks offer,
Right.
and they do offer some real benefits. But I think it's important to also stop and think about some of the risks. And this is something I thought about a lot. You know, I'm of the generation that just started to put pictures of your kids online all the time. And I remember thinking back when my friends were starting to do this, and that I remember thinking like, man, in 12 or 13 years, if I'm posting these pictures, my daughter, who's going to be in middle school, is probably going to feel a certain way about the fact that that these things are out there. And yeah, you know, I might think that this bath picture is super cute, and so will my friends when they heart it or like it. But like 14-year-old her might be real mortified that that's out there, right? And so I've always tried to kind of take a little bit more of a conscientious approach to what we post and why. And I think that we all have to do that.
Yeah. Name 3 things that people should never ever post on social media?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can name 3 things that I think nobody should ever post, you know.
Birthdays?
Certainly never anything sensitive, right? I think that's a really, really important one. That's probably actually the most important thing I can think of in terms of never to post. You know, the online communities are great for self-expression. But you never want to put any personal
Like
information
your birth
out
date,
there.
you wouldn't want to put.
I would not put. I personally don't put my birth date year on there. I think my birth date might be on there. I don't know. I'm very particular about my own personal information. I personally would be really reluctant to put things like a phone number or email address. I don't even know if I have my current city accurate on LinkedIn, to be honest with you. I'm very, very reluctant to put any kind of personal information that would allow anyone to find me.
And I always get concerned when people talk about they're going on vacation, you know, and they put that on social media because you're letting the whole world know that you're not going to be home. Right?
Yeah, a little Home Alone action there. Yeah, you know, you're going to have the wet bandits showing up.
It's okay when you come back if you want to, you know, show the pictures then, but don't announce that you're not going to be home. So and you talk about email, that's another one too, and accounts and banking online. And you mentioned the word Venmo, and I know there are a lot of, you know, Cash App. Is there one that's safe, Cash App software applications out there? Is there any that you prefer? I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have one that I prefer.
Or that's safer.
I think the way that I would think about it is whenever you are interacting with somebody through one of these apps, first of all, you want to make sure that you actually know who they are and that you've got a way to verify. And most of these apps now have a good way of doing that. For instance, if you tried to Venmo me, it would ask you for like the last 4 digits of my phone number or something to make sure that we're going to have a legitimate transaction. Where you can see some of these things become a little bit kind of tricky. So, for example, actually, this happened the other day. There was a lawsuit that we were part of a class action, and so we got some money back through PayPal as part of a class action. And so we get the text from the settlement people, and we knew this was coming, saying, you know, your money is available. Click this link and go claim it. And it was from PayPal, and it was a PayPal link, but they were using a PayPal link shortener. Now, because we tend to be in this space, one of the first things that I did when I saw that is I said, okay, wait, before you click this link, let's go and run a domain check on this to make sure it's actually owned by PayPal and we're not going to be taken off to a cloned website. So like those little things which, again, you might be real excited, like, oh my gosh, we're just going to get whatever we're going to get from this settlement. Let's go click the button and claim our money. Even though we knew to expect it, it was still one of those things where we're like, well, is this coming from the same two-factor authentication number we always get from PayPal? Is this coming from a domain that we can look at and be like, is this actually owned by PayPal? And so once we kind of checked those things, we said, all right, now let's go ahead and go make that claim. But I think that those are not things that a lot of people pay attention to. Is it a number that they already use for authentication? Is it a URL that we can tell is owned by the company? And when we click on it, is it taking us to a secure link for that organization.
Is it true that if it's HTTP, if there's an S after the P, it's a secure site?
Generally speaking.
Generally okay.
Speaking, yes.
Now, and we've talked a lot about the negative parts of AI, but there are so many good things that are going on in terms of medicine, healthcare, home systems. Talk about some of the positive things. We don't want people to think it's a new evil, that's
No, in fact, I'm very much, if anything, I spend more time thinking about the positive stuff, because I think there's a lot of opportunity here. And across so many different domains and dimensions. For example, one of the things that I think about a lot, we just did some work for the Greater Lansing Care Foundation. And so they've worked with us to collate tons and tons of resources for caregivers of people with dementia. And this is an emotionally fraught experience for many people. And there's a lot of intricacies, everything from estate planning and the legalities, and there's all sorts of stuff. And so one of the things that we did is we built a site for them that is all powered by generative AI. So caregivers that have questions and are looking for plans and looking for help, they can not only come and ask their questions of the site and get cited answers, cited answers, that, saying, okay, this is how you should approach this, or here's the plan. They can also get recommendations and referrals to local businesses or local practitioners that can help them understand where and how to go get personal help in the community, right? And that's super, super powerful. For as a caregiver, somebody who's I now have this new challenge of dealing with a parent that's going through these things. I don't know anything about any of the language that the doctors are telling me or the attorneys.
Right.
I can go to this site and I can get clarity, and I can then get referred to other people that can help me. That's super, super, super powerful. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely. In terms of the medical field as well, I heard someone from Banff, a medical facility in Grand Rapids, saying that they're actually using AI or robots for the first diagnosis, and then they get that diagnosis and they give it to another AI or robot to proof or to secure the first. I mean, it's medicine in healthcare, and like you were saying, just resources, because who has the resource, particularly adults, to go on Google and look at all the things that come up. So being able to have something like the Lansing Care Foundation have a site there. And you have robots talking to people now. You don't have to do all that search and find anymore. It's so many wonderful things that are going on.
It's incredible. Two of the other ways where I think that there's some real power for, so what you describe in the medical field is huge. And I think there's so much work going into the medical field. On the, for the rest of us that aren't in medicine, so one, there are so many more technologies, assistive technologies now between your watches and your phones. And as most of these technologies start to get connected to AI networks, you'll be able to know if mom falls, you'll be able to know right away, like, okay, hey, the technology said that mom fell. And by the way, now we've got the AI on the back end saying, do this, go call this person, call this person, call this person. And then boom, that's super, super helpful. Like those kinds of technologies are really coming online, and they're amazing. The other thing that one of our friends in Grand Rapids is launching, EverFriends AI, is this great technology where if you have a parent that is struggling with dementia or some of these things, and it can be really taxing as a caregiver, they've got these AI avatars that you can go and talk to, or that your parents can go and talk to back and forth, and it looks and feels like a real conversation, and can take some of that pressure off the caregiver to interact with for your loved one to interact with this friend that looks and feels real to them, and is compassionate and has infinite patience for all of the things that mom or dad might be going through. There's just so many of these things kind of coming online.
We're going to have to do a whole show on just assistive technology, because that's phenomenal. People are struggling with things at home, even in terms of prescriptions, robots that will dispense your loved one's prescription at a certain time every day, and those kinds of things. It's just so much out there. So we've got about 30 seconds left. Tell us the one thing you're most excited about in terms of the future of AI and what it can do.
Yeah, the thing I'm most excited about is what are called AI agents. And this is the ability for AI to really become that personal assistant that's helping you with all of your day-to-day tasks.
Oh, I can hardly wait.
It's coming online. It's coming very quickly. We and others are helping to build and bring them online. And I think it's going to transform not only the world, but it's going to make us all, ironically, more human in many ways.
Will we be able to afford it?
Absolutely.
it's going to be affordable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what's led to all this. Cost structures are coming way down, making accessibility.
Put me on the list for the first robot. I want it. We'll bring it right here and demonstrate how it works, all right?
You and me both. I love it.
We appreciate you and what you're doing, and just the years that you spent doing this. It's going to change the lives in a positive way for so many people. Thanks for being with us, Jesse.
Thank you so much.
In this hot and now, fast processed world, Dr. June, how does or can food, particularly processed food, impact your joint pain?
Unfortunately, we're finding out is that often those fast, easy, quick, and often cheap meals that you get, hot and now or hot and ready, are terrible for your joints. They're terrible for your joint pain and generally not good for your health overall, especially if you're eating it on a regular basis. As I tell everybody, the devil's in the dose. The occasional treat, the occasional cheeseburger, the occasional pizza, or whatever, it won't kill you. But if it's part of your diet every day, it's going to make your arthritis worse. It's your overall health worse. It can have impacts on your hypertension, blood pressure, have impacts on your kidneys, your liver. It's just better to go with an actual cleaner diet, lower carbohydrate diets with good fats in them. Now, that's a long discussion, but a general rule of thumb is that the more natural your diet, the better off you're going to be.
If you're rushing out of the house and you just want to pick up something to take on the road real quick, what would you grab?
I love trail mix for that, but everybody's got dietary restrictions, so it's got to be tailored for the right person. Maybe you have a nut allergy. Trail mix doesn't make a lot of sense. However, like anything that's natural doesn't mean that it can't be fast. You just have to do a little bit of food prepping ahead of time for the week or the day, and you'll find that the returns on that are worth the time that you put into it.
So plan ahead, just have something there ready to grab and go that's healthy that you've planned for.
Yes, no one tells me they feel great after getting a hot and ready, eating that 3 days in a row. No.
Good advice. Thank you so much, Dr. June. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
CATA's regional mobility solutions can help seniors seize the day. Hear what riders and community leaders have to say about the value CATA brings to the lives of aging adults.
My name is Patsy Dillard, and I'm a Spectran and a big CATA rider for the buses, and I enjoy riding Spectran, CATA. I've been riding for like 30 years now, and then I ended up in a wheelchair. So I'm riding the big bus, and I'm like, it took me a long time, like almost a year, when I had my chair that I wasn't test driving it on the bus. But I finally got enough courage, and I started riding the bus, and I became a pro with it. Could turn, hit the right spots, and I really could bag up in there, and I really enjoyed riding. And I had got a car, and I was like, it's more cheaper to keep riding the bus, and it's more safer for me. So that's what I continue to do. And now I'm not in the wheelchair anymore, thank God. I graduated to a walker. Bus drivers on Spectran, they're like, yeah, you're still doing it, and it's been a year and a half now, and I've been walking on my own, and they always give me props, like, keep up the good work, and I love it. The wheelchair riders don't know that. You can get in touch with Spectran or CATA system, and they'll give you little strips that go on your chair, where you can lock it onto your safety belt on the bus. So a lot of people that don't know that, that's cool. Well, Spectran, they pick me up door-to-door service, and I love that. And I can just walk right out my door and to my doctor's office, no hesitation, and I love it like that. The proof is in the pudding when they come and get me, so. Yes, CATA, just keep what you're doing, keep on doing it, because I love it, and there's no problem with it.
I'm Tracy Anderson with Impart Alliance. Today I'm joined by Bethany Deiser. Bethany serves as our Associate Director of Impart Alliance, and she also oversees our training. Bethany, can you tell me a little bit about the opportunities that are available for employers of direct care workers?
So right now we are offering free direct care worker training to direct care workers across the state of Michigan. It's a great opportunity for employers to access training from our programming for their employees. And we know that direct care workers want more training. In surveys asking direct care workers about why they want to stay or leave the profession, very often they cite feeling a lack of support, inadequate resources, and not being part of the team at their workplaces. So what a great opportunity for employers to show support and also build skill and knowledge in their employees to help them do excellent work.
And what is the best way for employers to reach out to Impart Alliance for these opportunities?
So employers are certainly welcome to email us directly, contact us through our website. Our virtual training program is live. We have classes being offered every day of the week. They can assist their employees to create a profile, register, and sign up for some class times. We know direct care workers work all different shifts, all different days, and we try to make our classes available at different times and different dates. But we also have an option if you're an interested employer and you want to train one of your seasoned advanced direct care workers to become a trainer and deliver our standardized curriculum to their colleagues in your organization. We have a program that can help you facilitate that. It's a great career opportunity for those direct care workers, and it's a great way to incorporate training as part of your workplace, as part of onboarding, as part of advancement and decision making.
Sounds like a great opportunity. Thank you, Bethany.
Of course.
You or someone you know may have a spouse in long-term care. Do you have to use all of your long-term savings if you have a spouse in long-term care?
I'm glad you asked the question, Paul, because that's the biggest misconception. You know, spouses want to take care of each other. They want to keep them at home. My experience is that, a spouse will kill themselves to keep the other one out of the nursing home.
Right.
And then, of course, when they succeed in killing themselves, exhausting themselves, where does the spouse go? Long-term care. But the other side of it, which is all our life savings are now drained to pay for the long-term care before Medicaid will kick in.
Right.
When Medicaid kicks in, fine, they'll pay for it. But now we have to drain all of our resources that we spent decades building up. That is not true, categorically not true. We have great success. We say about 90%. If I've got a married, it's closer to 99%. But so let's say 90% of family resources can be preserved for the community spouse, the at-home spouse. It's not the case that you have to go broke. It's not the case that you have to lose your life savings. In fact, it's so important to retain your life savings, not just for the next generation, although we love them too, but more importantly for your spouse. You want your spouse to get more than one shower a week? You have to pay for it. You want them to have their own room? You have to pay for it. You want their laundry to be done and they actually get back the clothes? You have to pay for it. It's extra. But if you're down to the poverty level, which is what Medicaid requires, you're not going to be able to afford any of that.
Good to know.
But if we plan ahead, life savings are intact, you can provide the highest level of care for your spouse.
Oh, that's really good information. Thank you for that. A lot of misperceptions around that. Thank you, David.
Terrible, yeah. Thank you, Paul.
A lot of good information that was shared today. Make certain that you take notes, that you share it with your friends and your family. And thanks for watching Real Possibilities.